So welcome to the Atomic Construction Podcast, episode 1 with Kyle Nitchen. For those of you that don't know, he's a BA project manager. He also runs a social media account, Influential Project Manager. He's got an awesome newsletter. Kyle's the man. I met Kyle because I recruited him. I failed to recruit him. And we were just talking about our passion for the industry, and we thought it'd be really cool to do a podcast together. So here is the first of that. Kyle, dude, I think we have a very distinct view of our industry and some of the gaps. So I thought it'd be fun, like we talked about, doing this pod and what is this pod and then what is the community and all these other things. It sounds like we're very aligned in what we see as gaps. So yep. I thought for today it'd be good, you tell your construction story, I'll tell my construction story, which is kind of life story too. I mean, most people know you, nobody knows me.
Couldn't agree more, man. That's a perfect little roadmap there.
Nice. I passed my first project management test then.
Yeah, you laid it out. There's the plan.
Kyle Nitchen, obviously you've made a name for yourself. I think myself and along with many in the industry consider you a national treasure. But let's fast forward to did you grow up in California? Tell me your life story and then how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, sure. The origin story. So I actually grew up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, just outside of Toronto, Ontario. Not a Canadian citizen, as an American citizen, believe it or not. I was born in the States and then moved up there at a very young age with dad's work. Grew up there, did childhood, and eventually did end up moving back to the States, Colorado specifically, to finish out high school. And growing up, I was not really the best student growing up. Didn't thrive in the classroom environment, didn't thrive in getting good grades and setting myself up to go the traditional route, right? College, get a, fancy job. So I had limited options at the end of high school with what to do. To be honest, I didn't want to go to school. I had no interest in doing more school. I wanted to start working right away. Didn't have an idea of what I wanted to do. Didn't have a grand plan, anything, like most traditional kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? And boom, had an answer. Didn't have any answer. So I started working with a landscape company on the subcontractor side. 18 years old, was digging ditches, humping sod, cutting bricks, laying concrete, landscaping houses and small commercial projects in my town in Colorado.
Sorry, where are we in Colorado? I got to know.
We are in southern Colorado, Pueblo, Colorado.
Okay, Pueblo. Nice.
So that's where it started. That was my first exposure to this beautiful industry. All right.
Yeah.
And I, to be honest, I loved it. I loved being outside. I loved working on a crew. I loved walking away from a nice house that we just finished landscaping and said, hey, I did that. I did that for about 3 years, and I knew this wasn't the long-term play for me. I was kind of getting my act together. And starting to finally think, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And so I also, because I was growing up in Canada, I had a hockey background. I still was like on this dream of trying to become a professional athlete. I was not letting go of that dream. So I got my act together and I said, okay, I'm going to go to school. I connected a few dots and figured out, okay, Colorado State University, they have a hockey team. I want to move out of Pueblo, Colorado. Let me see if I can get in there. I had to go to community college, get my grades up, and eventually did get accepted into CSU, walked onto their hockey team. I really went there to play hockey. I didn't really go there for the school. That's how I got in the door. And eventually I went into school and they said, hey, you got to pick a degree. And I was like, oh man, none of these really sound that great, to be honest. But one degree was there, and it was the construction management degree. And with my background on the construction side, that looked like a perfect fit. I was like, I understand that world. I've been on the job sites. I don't know much about the management side of things. In fact, I didn't even know there was a management side of the business. I was just a small-time subcontractor. So that was my foot in the door with that. And that's how I got into eventually getting connected up with Leighton Construction, who I work for now and have for almost 11 years. And fast forward, here I am now. I'm building hospitals in Southern California. I've been traveling around, started off in Colorado, then moved to Miami, Florida, did some hotels, and now I'm in the healthcare market, building hospitals and other complex places here in Southern California. So that is my indirect path into here. And now, since getting into this business, it's exciting. It's full of opportunity. There's problems everywhere. And yeah, there's a lot of pain points. And I'm sure we're going to unpack these over the next, hopefully, many, many episodes.
That's fantastic, dude. I selfishly, I'm not even going to let you ask. I just want to tell my story. There's so many equal and opposite moments. There's so many equal and opposites, but we'll talk. I'll get to me in a minute. You went to work for 3 years out of high school, then went to school. So you went to college late. Is that fair to say? Or was that?
You very late. Yeah.
And if you don't mind sharing your youthfulness, because I know you're a young, wise man. When did you graduate college? What year? Any idea?
Yeah, I graduated in 2014. I was 20, almost 25 years old.
2014, 25. Wait, we might be the same. How old are you?
35.
Oh yeah, we're the same age. Nice, same. That's sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I graduated 2012 from Boulder with an accounting degree. Quite the opposite. Like
Boulder.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's so funny. But tell me, so you get done in 2014. So it's been 11 years ish, or you're coming on your 11th year. Leighton recruited you out of, like, you went to career fair, or how'd you find Leighton?
Another kind of indirect way. Yeah, through some networking, and met a guy at Leighton.
Okay.
And yeah, we got connected up.
Did you start as a project engineer, PM, or did you go straight to PM?
No. Started at the entry level project engineer position.
PE. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, actually, while I was in school, I was working for Kiewit. I did an internship with them, and I was a field engineer, and was building a highway project, a couple bridges and a highway extension. And I learned that horizontal construction wasn't that interesting to me.
I've never heard it put that. It's so funny. Like, all we do is horizontal, but we're on jobs that go vertical. I've like literally never heard it put that way, which is like, I'm embarrassed to say that. But so then I just want to talk, like, and the impetus for this is like, we're going to leverage some of the stuff you've already been doing with Influential Project Manager. But I mean, I saw it. I guess I'm a fanboy for sure. I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is what we need, right? This is like, this finally somebody saying it how it is. So just much as you're comfortable with sharing about that story.
Yeah, of course. Probably, through the journey of coming up, trying to figure out the construction management game, just trying to grow in my career, uncovered stuff about leadership. I understood right away. I was like, the key's leadership. I gotta nail this. The key is leadership. This is the most valuable skill there is. So through that journey, and then just growing in the position and managing more projects, doing things, running my own show, I uncovered all these pain points. I'm like, man, it's really hard to be successful. It's really hard to deliver a good job, keep it on schedule. It's really hard to keep it on budget. I mean, there's just so many variables, so much complexity. There's systematic problems. There's a lot of barriers to make that project go well. And it's often very painful, to be honest, but very rewarding. It's great. It's fun. I guess what I'm saying is that I started learning about how to do this better. How can we do this better? And that's where the birth of the Influential Project Manager come out. I just started writing about these things, and I noticed a need in the market that there wasn't somebody talking about this stuff yet. There wasn't really someone. There are a couple influencers, and you can probably count them on a couple of hands. But when you compare that to other industries, tech and finance, there's just not a lot of creators out there. So I saw a need, and the market responded right away that this was good stuff. They wanted more of this, the concepts of lean construction, leadership, talking about frameworks and best practices. Not many people were out there talking about that. So that's where that came out of. And these were things that I was already just trying to learn just to improve myself. That's where it came out of it. And I learned just in my journey, I put together a framework that helped me kind of really skyrocket through the business, grow faster. And I call that the 7 archetypes. And that's kind of the foundation of what the influential project manager is. And these are these different identities, these different hats we need to wear in this business to lead people, predict outcomes, and manage risk.
So I'm jotting down ideas as we go. I think it'd be probably really good to go through, like, probably one of our series could just be to go through your book and kind of your whatever you're comfortable with, like what you're teaching people. That's probably like, because are we talking about your curriculum, or that's like not yet?
We should do that. It doesn't have to be on this episode, but we should cover that. That could be a whole episode itself, going through the 7 archetypes. But man, I did a lot of talking. I want to hear your origin story.
Yeah, my turn. So, well, thanks for sharing. Mine will be a little less illustrious and put together. But so I similarly struggled with school, hated school. I wanted to go to the military. I actually forgot. My plan was to go to the military after high school. And my mom, I have Indian roots from India. So college is very important on that side of the house. So she more or less made me go to school. I don't know. I forgot that this was part of the deal. She's like, you got to go to school and then you can join the military. And then I went to school. Similar as you, I picked my school on 2 criteria. Like, was there snowboarding and like the least amount of essays? Like, if I had to fill out an essay, I didn't want to go to that school. So, and then I fell in love with Boulder's campus. I thought Boulder's campus was really sweet. I was one of the few cowboy boot wearing, black smoke throwing, truck driving people. Like, I was just totally didn't fit in Boulder at all. And I loved it. It was great. It was great. Hearing you say you didn't want to go to school, I'm the same way. Like, I think high school parents aren't going to let me mentor their kids because my advice is don't go to school. It's the biggest way. It's freaking horse hockey. Like 2 years on the job will give you like 10 times the knowledge of 4 years of freaking school will. And so I think there's a segment of that for us to explore. I feel bad when I'm mentoring kids because I know their parents don't want me to say it, but I'll tell it how it is. Like, there's no experience like being like OJT. Like, you can't get it in a classroom. And anyway, so we'll get into that. But I made a critical mistake. I was an AB, like I didn't do any AP classes in high school. Like, I was smart, but I was distracted. I didn't care about school. If somebody from high school were to tell you that I got straight A's my first semester and I wasn't going to let go of it, nobody would have bet 10 to 1 that was going to happen. But I did. I got straight A's my first semester and I was like, didn't want to let go of perfection. So I actually like graduated super, super well. And it's the greatest waste of time. And the stupidest stat that I have to my name is like, yeah, I had a 3.89 GPA. And I still get pissed off because there was like, other people would get credits for A pluses, and in my GPA, you didn't. So like, I got 1 B plus. I think I got 1 B plus in a BS class, and it still bothers me, which is stupid. But all that to say, I think college is whatever. I met some of my best friends. I think it's I don't know why it's so expensive. I don't know why it's so ineffective. I think it's a demonstration of stupidity.
My advice to people is go there to have fun. Go there to have an experience. Don't go there to like, who cares about your GPA? I don't, when I look at resumes, I'm not looking at your GPA, dude. I don't care. What have you done? What kind of fun have you had? What kind of experiences have you had? That's an experience. When I went to college, that was just pure fun. And it was awesome. So yeah, don't go there to expect that it's going to level you up of some sort.
Yeah, well, that's another thing I wanted to talk. I'm curious where you got your knack for leadership. I don't know where, I truly don't know where mine came. And I hope my father never listens to this, but like learning what not to do from dad probably. But so I did really well in school. Everybody's like, why'd you try so hard? Because I was always going to go back to the family business. And I had no heart for the family business. I actually had a disdain for the family business. It's something that bothers me. Like there's a silver spoon element to my story that I wish wasn't there. Like I admire the founders, the guys that started with zero. I definitely had a head start, and I'm grateful for it. But I consider it a mark against my greatness, not in favor of. But I had always seen what my dad did with the business as doing all the right things wrong or the wrong things right, and he had always stumbled his way to success. You know, like. And my dad's a good man, but and I'm sorry, Dad, if you listen, like just a freaking terrible leader. Like I could work for the worst of them. Like he was awful, and he doesn't know it. Like there's no self-awareness, like humility, like self-awareness. Those are all things that matter in a leader. That like I think we're seeing a change, but it's not in the trades, right? It's a bunch of narcissistic a-holes that are running these construction companies, and they're not really companies; they're solopreneurships, and we'll get into that later. But that was my heart for it. I was like, man, if my dad could do this well for himself, doing all the wrong things right or the right things wrong. Like, what would it look like if I married those two and did all the right things the right way? And I was just completely naive. I came out of school. I thought I was going to turn that thing on a dime and I'd be on to my next venture. I figured it was 3 years it would take me to take it and turn it around like a top. And man, it's just been a 15-year slog of just like grit and grind and ups and downs. And like, I think you said, there's problems everywhere. Like, it's painful, but we're finally at a place now where I have a self-running company. We took it from 4 to 35 million. We'll probably do 40 this year. And I think we're in a really good, you and I've talked, I think we're in a really good position to kind of do $250 million and put it on a trajectory to do $1 billion in fence, which is like fun. It's just like really fun to even say that out loud. Yeah. So that brings me kind of to where I am. I'm like looking at what you're doing and I'm like, man, I want to help people. If I can help somebody take a year or 10 off of what took me 15 and like give some lessons learned about scaling a business and like getting there. And to me, getting there is like, I have a company that like makes money when I'm not without me, right? It's like, it's a self-running company. Like, I think so many entrepreneurs like get themselves caught up in the jobness of their business. It's like, dude, that's a job. Like, until you make yourself deletable, like that's just it's not even a well-paying job hour per hour. Like, being a solopreneur it's painful. So what's super interesting to me is I think like on image, like people would look at me and be like, oh, there's that dude running a 3 to 4 person fence company, like calls himself the CEO, which is what I would do, which is what I would look at my profile and say. And then like, I think you're in the seat of like, man, this dude's a project executive, like top of class, you know? So it's really interesting to see. I think it would be really interesting just to explore the differences. I believe you kind of took you're on the corporate professional side of our industry, like the true professional. I'm I would consider myself somewhat at the top of the food chain for the blue collar boys that like, we couldn't probably hack it in your world, but it's really interesting to just combine those two worlds and maybe take back some of the veil, because they're probably more similar than they are different, I would think.
There's some things this is a perfect mix. There's some things we can learn here from both.
Well, yeah, anything that I glossed over that's worthy more of discussion, or do we want to talk about kind of directionally where we want to take this thing?
Well, first of all, you've done what is, I think, very impressive, scaling a business. I think that's got to be the hardest thing, one of the hardest things you could do. Starting and scaling a business of your own. Like, there's not much more harder things you can do. I think that's on the top right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. What is the hardest thing? Yeah. It's interesting because as you admire maybe what I've done, I admire what you've done, because I don't know that I could have done, right? Like I would imagine a typical trajectory from a project engineer to a project executive at 15, 20 years. And it sounds like you've done it inside of 10 pretty quick. So I wouldn't be ready to say that what I've done is harder than what you've done, right? Not that we need to compare. We don't need to be comparing PPs the whole time. But like, yeah, I have a tremendous amount of respect for what you're doing. But as far as on the business side, yeah, I think scaling. The only thing harder would have been started from zero. I had a head start. We started with 4 million and that gave me a really good foundation. But in retrospect, if I was to do it over again, I would have rather started with zero. It was harder to kind of take the 30 person and get it to.
Yeah. Well, that says a lot about you.
First, love that dude. So smart. I think he's super smart. What do you guys think? Thank you to the listener for listening to episode 1. We need y'all's support. Please fill out the survey. Give us your feedback. I'm all about 360 feedback. What do we need to be doing better? What would make this something you want to share with your friends? Share it with your friends. Their feedback is also super helpful. And if you know of anybody, we're trying to be a voice to the voiceless, right? Any labor, tradesman, anybody in the trades that has a cool and interesting voice or a story that they'd like to tell, like we want to tell that story. So drop it in the survey. Appreciate the support. Let us know how we're doing, and we'll do our best to get back with you. So cheers to building. Thanks for listening.